who walks in after can just hop on. So first, let's just do attendance. Dan here, Kim
Here.
Laura.
Nathan here.
Nate's here. Laura said she couldn't make it. Kelly,
Right here.
Maureen, not here. Barbara,
Yes.
Krista is on Zoom. And Valerie and Karen are not. Okay. So next is reviewing the minutes from last meeting. Everyone remembers we didn't meet in February. We had a scheduling conflict and just decided to cancel the meeting. So the last meeting minutes are from our January meeting. They were sent out earlier today. Hope everyone had a chance to check them over. And with that, is there a motion to approve the minutes? All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Yes. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so just kind of a recap from last meeting. We went over the final results of the survey we got. We got a total of 106 responses from residents, which is pretty good considering we're a relatively new group and this is the first time we tried to do a survey. The survey again asked what were your 3 policy areas that you thought were the most important for being in the town of Canandaigua. The answers we got were protecting our natural resources, housing, and then town operations. The second question is what people would most like to see from CAP. The results we got from that were relaying concerns directly to the town board, sharing information about the town, its operations, and its departments, and fostering a greater sense of community in town. We also got 26 new people decided expressed that they'd be interested in receiving the town's newsletter. So Kim, I still have to send you those email addresses so we can get them enrolled. So that's a good added bonus for the town too. We talked about kind of how we wanted to use those results of the survey to, direct the actions of CAP moving forward, what our new agenda items should be. And we talked about, reviewing the comprehensive plan for the policy areas that were identified. Hopefully tonight we'll be able to pull them up on the big screen, kind of go through them for housing, natural resources, and town operations. In terms of kind of like fostering that greater sense of community and creating that transparency that people were looking for, specifically from CAP. I think it was Krista who suggested doing a social media campaign, kind of introducing residents to different elected officials in town, to different department heads. I was hoping Sue would be here because I wanted to ask her if we got any of those posted yet. I know we did receive a few responses.
She said she
might try to join in.
Okay.
Yeah, she said she was gonna Zoom. So I haven't seen her yet.
Okay. But that's another great way we can do that. And that kind of ties well into the first thing I kind of wanted to talk about tonight was floating the idea of maybe keeping in that vein is we could do a post about CAP again on social media, because now that we're a fully formed panel, we have our members that come frequently, we have our action items and our agendas. I think it'd be a nice thing to kind of maybe post a group picture of us at a community meeting when more people are present, to show the community that we are actually a group of real residents. We're actually meeting, we're actually working on their behalf for all these different things. I think it would also be a nice way to kind of reinforce, you know, our meeting times. We can tell people, hey, there's always a Zoom option, encourage people to participate or stop in during meetings. And also kind of share again, just the email address we have for CAP. Because I do gotta talk to Sue as well to see if we've received anything through that email address. So I wonder if anyone else has any ideas on that, yay or nay, do you think it's a good idea, or is there a better way we could kind of go about doing that?
For the get to know CAP.
Yeah,
I think you could have something both in the newsletter and in social media. You can use the same content.
right,
And you could also have it featured on the website too, so. You know, try and get the most use out of whatever content you have.
that's a good idea, because I think we could also, you're right, have that posted on our page on the website.
You did Messenger to write an article or something for the Daily Med, the newspaper. With a picture. I don't know what goes under it.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, couldn't you just use the other. You know, whatever, you're gonna put in the newsletter and social media and just.
Submit it to be published.
Yeah, for the newspaper.
No, just thinking back into the first meeting, it's most crowded in here. And then they disappeared, we'll say, there. But then there has to be something halfway exciting. I'm trying to remember what I was told when I said, well, whether we were repeating anything that's already been done. I don't remember. I mean,
Okay. Well, if there is no discussion left on that and Sue's still not on, we'll come back to that if Sue does hop on. But kind of moving on to the meat and potatoes of what we should really try to talk about tonight is, again, looking at, you know, the comprehensive plan and what has been said that the town would like to accomplish for these, you know, 3 policy areas that were identified as being top priority for the residents of town. First is natural resources.
page numbers, didn't you?
Do you want the list of all the goals and measurables?
Yeah,
Okay,
because I think that's where really CAP can really shine, is working with those different groups that are responsible for those, you know, measurables. Maybe, you know, getting an update from them and then posting that, you know, under CAP, kind of letting people know that, you know, the community's pushing for these things.
You said get an update, so it would be an update from the Watershed Association, or who would it be an update from?
It depends, because for each measurable, they have who's the primary person for the, let's see, which one.
What page is that in?
It is 108.
I have that is the list of who's the primary responsible entity.
So for, you know, one of the measurables is water quality of Canandaigua Lake. That would definitely be, we would reach out to Canandaigua Lake Watershed Association. But as you can kind of see, Kim, correct me if I'm wrong, ECB, I'm sure, is Environmental Conservation Board. DO is
Development office,
development office. Okay.
The what office?
development,
Okay.
And the CIC noted there was the previous incarnation.
yeah, the grandparents of this committee,
Yeah,
Which one was that? The ECP?
CIC.
I'll just put grandparents. I'll remember. I hope I remember what it is.
So I think it would be, like, if we wanted to pick maybe one or two of these things to follow up with, you know, the proper entity, and get a, like, brief report from them that we can then share with the rest of the community, for each of the policy areas, I think would be a really good first step. Kind of open to hearing what people think, you know, the most pressing issue is. What do you think people would most want to hear about? Or any ones that stand out.
Yeah, well, I don't remember what's in here. But wouldn't they have, they must have had a report to somebody sometime.
Some of these groups
You've been here
did, some of these groups did report over time.
Oh.
But it's been a number of years as this committee has transitioned. It's been a number of years since they've had that, since that happened. And we have had, for example, the ECB and the Ag Committee and some of these other committees have given reports and updates to the town board.
Okay.
But that's just what those committees do. I think it might be more productive at looking at some of these action steps and clumping some of them. For example, there are anything like, for example, anything dealing with water quality right now. Water quality, watershed, flood mitigation. Those things we are doing a lot on those. A lot of work on those that is kind of behind the scenes. Not a lot of people know about it.
Mhm.
Not a lot of people are aware because it happens between the town and the farmers. And then it could take 6 to 8 months to get a simple easement agreement finished. But then we're doing these projects for minimal costs because like minimal dollars cost, it's just time and resources and that. But that would be a great way to highlight, look at all these steps we're doing to protect the lake and protect runoff
Yeah,
and protect downstream flooding. I can't get into it right now. Unfortunately, hopefully at the next meeting I can, but some of the land protection. And some of the other things like that, there's some significant opportunities that if things come to fruition, this group could really champion some of those causes that are coming on board with that.
You're talking about land around the lake or land in the?
Just in general, land in the town, land acquisition in the town in general, or land preservation in the town in general. Preserving because in there in the comp plan, it talks about preserving natural resources, preserving significant farmland, preserving some of these things, and there might be some opportunities for that coming up. If things kind of fall together the way hopefully they will, and then we could champion those. But that's not a group presenting to us. That's taking some of these ideas that we have and then pushing them out to the public.
so that I'm just gonna be saying back to you what I think you said. So the idea would be is that we would slowly go through this list, making the most attractive for publicity. And what they've done is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, I think so. That and teach, I mean, that's kind of the way, I think that would be an easy way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and seeing like if any needs pop out,
Yeah.
and say, hey, gee, you know, wow, we haven't looked at that. in a
We haven't
while."
looked at that in a
'Cause
while.
I
Let's,
was looking at this the other day and I'm like, oh my God, there's so much.
right.
there's-
That it's overwhelming, you know,
On
to
the-
say, hey, I'm gonna try to figure this all out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my. heck
Like,
hurts.
like, for example, the water quality, and I know that there's. Keep popping these in off, I don't know, sorry. Someday I'm gonna wear them long enough, so I get used to the transition on them, but
Yeah.
until that, I'll just wear them for a few minutes here and there and never get used to them and always get nauseous.
You know,
Yeah, it's ridiculous, but So like the bullet 1, 2, 3, 4, water quality of Canandaigua Lake at points of infiltration within the town is measured by the Canandaigua Lake Watershed Association. Now, there's another one in there, which is the Watershed Council that I sit on, and that's the one with Kevin Olvani, that Kevin Olvani is our watershed manager for the entire Canandaigua Lake watershed. But yeah, something like that. So we take and say, okay, what are some of those water quality projects that we've done, and brainstorm, and maybe have Kevin come in and share some of the things that have happened. And there are projects from Middle Cheshire Road to Outhouse Park to Dual Road to the northern end of, all over the place. There are these projects that could be highlighted and shown and put out there for people to see. And really just kind of break it down like that to small little chunks that we can take and attack and chip away at.
So you're really talking about outreach to the public.
Yeah,
Right.
which is different, I know, than think we kind of started with, well, who do we have come and present to us? But the ECB would present on what they do.
Yeah.
Not, here are some projects that we've undertaken, right? And some of those other groups in there really aren't we're gonna come present to you group. You know, it's not, it doesn't work as well that way to have them come and present. But maybe education and outreach and bring in people and then educate ourselves and then go out and do it.
So one of the things that I brought to the ECB meeting last month was hopefully having like a speaker series, maybe starting in the fall, going through the winter. And since natural resources was top of our survey list, maybe if anyone has contacts or anything for the speaker, we can all work on that together. I was going to also ask the ag committee and the open space team. So we all might have people that would be great for a speaker, which the public would be,
Right.
you know. Like,
I think that of those committees, the ag committee and the open space might be decent to come here and have present. Because the open space identifies those spaces, and looking at conservation, well, we have our conservation easement team too, but looking at ways to preserve that open space and protect that, and some of the things that they've done to do that. And that could piggyback with the ag committee, because the ag is working on, you know, protecting viable farmland, protecting our most highly rated farmland. Really advocating for the farmers in that ag community within the town. I don't know.
they're in a bit of a transition right now.
Yeah.
There's some members.
Shifting out and
we've
some
got
shifting
members
out.
coming in, so I would probably start with the open space first.
Is cooperative extension involved at all or no?
Not at the town level, not
Okay.
really. Well. Only when soil and water gets involved, because soil and water kind of, it's different, but sometimes it works with cooperative extension.
Okay.
And they will get, they'll get involved. I mean, we could have soil and water come in and talk about what they do. I mean, they do, not a lot of people know that they do, they do septic grants. So if you live within the lake area and it's only within the lake, unfortunately, but if you live within the lake area and you have a failing septic system, there are grants that can help you replace that, repair it up to $10,000. So, which is a significant chunk of money.
Yeah.
And that comes through soil and water. Will go in and do, if there are complaints about runoff, or if there are complaints about, you know, any flooding issues or any pollutant issues. They also work on water quality projects too, similar to the Watershed Council, but
They work with agriculture as well, so.
yeah, and they work directly with the farmers to help them implement the best farming practices. Maybe it's inviting one of those groups to come in and educate this committee and brainstorm about what are some things that you do, and then how can we help get their story out within the community to be that conduit where they come in and they present. Or just an open discussion, not even a presentation, just sit around here and talk. What do you do? Here are some things that we do. Here's how we do it. Here's some roadblocks that we hit. Here's what we wish everybody knew. And then we could then craft a message around that. With social media, with public, maybe host a public information night, or I don't know, then that might not be as daunting as a several hundred-page comprehensive plan that you're trying to look at with these goals, that it's like, we're, all right, we're promoting this to the public, and it can get very overwhelming. That's why a lot of times these things are done and then they sit. And people don't look back at them because they're too big, and you don't take the little chunks.
Yeah,
The measurables are hard too.
Mhm.
They're kind of really soft. So
They're
like-
not firm measurables, no.
No. So it is difficult to kind of report and say, yeah, I did this.
Mhm.
I know the ag committee at one time was talking about having soil and water coming and do like a public presentation, so. I know they had reached out to somebody, but that didn't quite go to fruition. So I think they would be really on board for some of the speaker issues.
So what we're seeing is the first thing here that we're really gonna work with is natural resources, out of the three important things. In other words, we were talking, so we're gonna now say we're gonna work with natural resources as the first primary challenge. And so we're gonna do that by bringing in people to talk first.
Well, kind of like what Kim was saying, I was kind of envisioning we pick one, maybe like measurable. Or one area within each of the three to really have something to present on. To present to the public rather, so that means, like Jared said, communicating with. Either the department head, bringing them in so they can talk to us, have that open discussion, so they can share information with us that we then turn around, share back to the public, but under, CAP's name saying. Here's more, transparency, more about your town government. And here's all of the work that the town has been doing behind the scenes that no one really knows about. To address like
And
that
the
major
the
issue.
first one would be, you want something out of this, like the water.
Right, water quality would probably be. The biggest one, because when people say, natural resources, I'm sure they're thinking about Canandaigua Lake.
That's probably the lowest hanging fruit right now, I would think would be water quality.
Okay, so why don't we do water quality?
They're thinking about a lot of things, and we all do as we ask, but.
Yeah.
Water quality is.
But as far as lowest hanging fruit, as far as the easiest to put out there,
Right.
yeah, not ranked, but just easy
I think that
to
one's
spin a story.
Mhm.
Now, there will be a article in this week's newsletter from the Watershed Council. They will release.
Nobody wants to do salt. I pulled it in there on salt.
In real big places,
Speaking of water quality.
it was always easy to get local TV on to pick you up. For these types of, for this first thing we're talking about. I guess maybe here, I don't know whether what I'm gonna say next makes sense for you or not. I don't know whether it makes sense. Some kind of video, some kind of copy of what when a person is gonna present. And we know they're gonna present well. So that we can distribute it. If anybody wants to pick it up, that's the hard part. It's sort of like getting the questionnaires around.
Mhm.
Would that be valuable too? I don't know, Rotary Club, people like that. Would they have to, or should they be, should representatives of groups like that be invited to their presentation also? Or
I mean, I think to kind of Jared's point, they won't all necessarily be presentations. It'll be more so we're trying to kind of understand, like have them say, what are like the projects you've accomplished, that you're really proud of, what are you working towards, what are roadblocks, like more so having them share information with us that they wish they could push out to the public more.
I mean, that when, at least from my standpoint, there's gonna be that type of a gathering, I would prefer 5-10 minute solid presentation of content. Not chit chat, I'm just talking, I just like to have information before I start talking.
Right, well, it would
So
probably be
in that
during
type of a presentation,
one
I'd
of
like
our
to, you
normal
know,
committee meetings. They would come
maybe
in.
even come in with some handouts for us,
Right,
which
yeah,
we could redistribute.
definitely, we could always ask them to do that, but it would probably be just, again, during. You know, if we wanted to do this sooner rather than later, we could do, maybe try to get them on, you know, for the next panel meeting. Next month, they would just kind of come in. They could share, you know, handouts or stuff like that, that we can then, you know, put on social media, we can share, distribute.
That's the point, why they're coming, why, I guess that's the question to ask, why are they coming here?
Why they're coming here?
Yeah, why are we saying they have to come here?
They don't have to, if you wanna run a public. Information session, we can always do that.
So kind of the options, I mean, there are a couple ways to look at it. You could have a group come in. And you could have, you could have the watershed council, you could have soil and water come in and have an evening presentation. You might get a few people here. You know, you might get a handful of people here, or you could come in and say, we'd like to invite you guys in to have just a discussion, to invite you to our meeting to educate us on what you do. Then through that, because you talked about who picks it up on the media. Like, you know, we can, if you send something to the newspaper, they might pick it up. Who is like the TV, used to you be able to call, you know, let the TV know and they'd come and be there with a camera and a microphone. This day and age, we make our own, we need to make our own content. Okay, so we make our own content and then we distribute it. It's such a change, we distribute it through our own channels. We put it out on our Facebook, we put it out on our Instagram, we put it out on Twitter, these other sources, and then you put out 2 to 3 minutes, you know, these 2 little minute snippets. Nobody wants more than
Yeah,
a minute and a half or 2 minutes.
yeah.
And then we control that and we send the messages out. I mean, we did one with Sue's her name a snowplow thing. We promoted that, named the snowplow, put it on there, and then by the end of the week, it had been viewed over 100,000 times,
What?
which is probably more than that. It got all the way to Buffalo. There were people in Buffalo who are sharing it back and forth. So that's the new media. You create it, you control it, you design it, and then you put your story out and you tell that out there. So it could be as simple as a 30-second soundbite from Kevin or Megan Webster from the Watershed Council. It could be us, somebody, you know, going out with cameras and walking along some of these projects after a rain and explaining it and then putting it out there. And it's like, do you know what do you know what efforts your town has taken to promote water quality, and then have a conglomeration of those? Something like, you know,
Yeah,
something
that's
like
great.
that, maybe.
I was just trying to ask questions, refine. what
Yeah.
We're gonna do and
Mhm.
make sure we do it.
Yeah, and I think that's that would take assignments, that would take saying,
Yeah.
you know, volunteering, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna videotape, you know, there's a spot near me that I could go videotape. There's some of these projects that I could just kind of go walk and look at, take pictures of, and then you put them together and then we send it out there.
See that she shared. She said we should do a tour at the one.
We have the new Canandaigua Farmington water tank over on Brickyard Road.
Uh-huh.
That thing's gigantic. You see it coming down from coming down from 5 and 20. Actually, coming down from down here, turning like over onto Cooley Road. You look over there and there's this giant thing out in there, out in the field. You're coming down 332 heading into town, and you look to your right and there's just this massive mound, this massive tube that dwarfs the existing water tower. And go in there and
Actually, Jared, if you're game, I'm willing to go up there and,
I'm not going up there.
oh, come on, we can do the, what do you call it, when you scale down it? That'd be fun. We could do a fun clip on that.
Yeah, and then you're gonna be frying me from the, yeah,
I'll do it.
jump down like Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible. Jump down and
Exactly.
land at the bottom
Look at
like
the
a
press
spider.
we would get. We would get definitely over 100,000 views. While educating, mind you.
Right.
My goodness.
Just a thought, just a thought.
I don't know, we tried that with the salt pile and then we ran out.
Okay. But I could do a video out there just to kind of update the progress. People were kind of interested in that. But I mean, videos are really the wave of the, again, it gets people's attention. And we could do it from a, CAP is, showcasing around, around the town, what's going on.
Great.
Wouldn't necessarily be the better way to go to some of their stuff. And then have them tell us what they did and process doing. Rather than reverse, which would be the abstract, them sitting here telling us what they did.
Mhm.
But if we went as a group and videoed it, then it's, and no comment. Somebody else.
No, yeah.
You know, but.
My intestines are already not thinking about going up there.
That's not a good.
But you'd have the action to be attractive to
Right.
at least some people. And then the commentary on the action, which feed the meetings.
It's not a bad idea.
It doesn't hurt to be both, depending on what it is.
Right.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing. It's easy, it's more fun, I'm just talking about it. It's more fun for people to watch people doing things than speaking things.
Right.
Oh, shut up.
I've driven down 332 a bazillion times. I've never seen any big water.
It's off on the other side of a field. It's on Brickyard Road.
Yeah, I
It's
know
not
that.
So unless you looked over all the way across the cornfields, you wouldn't notice it.
Okay,
But the minute you scan over and you see it, you've got the little white. You got the little white water tower that's about this tall. And then you have this big this new one that's just still gray. This one's blue, but it's a really faded bluish, whitish gray. And then you have this other one that's like this next to it,
okay.
and it dwarfs it.
All right. So it sounds like we're all kind of in agreement that for natural resources, like water quality, runoff projects, talking with, soil and water, the Lake Watershed Association is probably the best, avenue for the natural resources one. To Nate's point, do we think it is too ambitious to focus on, one in each policy area, or do we think we should just focus on one at a time? And after we, put out our thing about natural resources, we can then move on and focus on, say, housing, rather than trying to do them all at once.
Yeah, maybe it's right, because it's a pretty small group.
I'm for doing one at a time, making mistakes on the first one.
Right, that's fair. Okay. Alright. So then, I guess. We can revisit the other two at a later date. Unless we kind of want to just talk about them briefly, so we can kind of game plan for afterwards what we think the next, areas we should be. There was a misprint. I typed it wrong on the agenda. I put infrastructure instead of housing. Housing is on 119. And for this one, I think, again, going for like the lowest hanging fruit, Uptown Landing is the newest housing development project that the town's putting together. There've been a lot of like town board hearings on it, but I don't know how many people actually know too much about the project. I think that could be a very again, easy thing for us to basically just get the
And everything
specifics
we can
about
on one
what
plan.
Uptown Landing is, where it's gonna be, what kind of homes they're gonna be, and then really just broadcasting that out. To tackle, housing, because it's a very large project.
I do have a informational article from the town planner on that in the upcoming newsletter. So, but you can always share more.
Right. Was that in this month's edition or is it next month's?
It's the one that will come out this week.
Okay, gotcha. So I feel like that would also be a little easier than some of the measurables that we got listed here. Unless anyone else has any other ideas for housing.
I know, that's one thing people are talking about, I know these. People I bumped into recently, really, I was so surprised.
That it's happening?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Well, can we take, once the newsletter comes out, we can kind of take a look at what it says and then kind of
Certainly can.
revisit it.
right.
Could even
Next time and,
Could even cannibalize it
yeah,
and just really
Absolutely.
dig into small parts of it and. I'd recommend not doing a video on the equalization rate, because that will put people to sleep. Spend too much time trying to explain that.
It would be kind of interesting to know some of the stats though, like where it
Yeah.
says percentage of number of residents paying greater than 30% of income for rent. I'm just not sure. who
Yeah, I
would
don't,
have that
that's, I
information.
don't, you're never,
Yeah,
I don't know
I
how you're
think
gonna
they
get
get that
that.
information.
right.
We don't know where you would get it. I mean, equalization rate right now, we're at 92%, I can tell you that. 2 years ago, we were at 100.
What do you mean by that? I don't know what equalization.
The equalization rate is what percentage of full assessment your municipality is assessed at, so. If your equalization rate is 100, that means according to New York State, you're assessed at. We're right at where you should be, you're 100%. And every percentage it drops, it's just like out of 100 on a test. Like right now, 92%, so in 2 years. We've dropped, according to New York State, 8% in our equalization rate. So now it's 92%. So that means our value. On average is 8% lower than what New York State says we should be for our assessed value.
And I'm just trying to put my head around. In that assessed value, we're talking about is assessed values of the family dwellings.
Yes. Yeah, so we have a listing that says what the entire town is, what the entire value of the town is. All the properties in the town. And then New York will look at that and say, yeah, that jives with what we think it should be.
So what's happened recently then is, because I do Meals on Wheels and everybody's talking about their assessment going up. So what I'm hearing you say is that the town assessor assessed everything up, but that's still lower than.
No, we didn't reassess everything for 2 years. 2 years ago, we did a full reassessment,
Okay,
which took everything to 100%.
okay, now I'm getting you.
But within 2 years, we've dropped 8%. That just shows you what the housing
Oh,
value.
yeah, that's what went through my head.
So in theory. Your house, you should be able to, you have 8% more value. Than what? That's kind of growth, if you look at it that way,
Yeah,
of the value of your home. It's crazy. It's just.
yeah, we're talking about moving. And that's when I've been around a lot. And it was always taking a year to sell your house. And now they're saying, no way.
It'll be a week.
And so that what you just said that way made sense to me at the abstract level as to what's happening.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of
Yeah,
sense. So
it'll
that
take a
somebody
week.
coming in theoretically it should really always bid higher than you. Theoretically, unless they really know a lot, because they would see that it's all gonna maybe, oh, I forgot about.
Well, the problem is,
I forgot about politics. Okay, I'm
then the
done.
bubble bursts, then the bubble
Yeah,
bursts, like
yeah,
get
yeah.
out
And
out
you get
west,
done.
and then you're in California and you're
Yeah.
done.
Yeah,
5 years ago, we said this isn't sustainable, this isn't gonna keep going, but it's kept going.
Yeah.
It's just not, I don't
okay,
know.
all right. And
And
politics.
likely probably abandoned, like the number of abandoned / foreclosed units. would be
I mean,
kinda hard
those
to
you can
find.
get, from the county treasurer's office, the foreclosed. Abandoned, I bet, I think we'd be hard pressed to find many of those here.
I think when code enforcement talked about it, there was only just a couple,
Yeah,
there was like 3 maybe.
yeah, we don't really have those.
Right. Okay.
What do we know with this? We're just talking about this right now. We're not going to operationalize it.
Right, this is just so like after
Right.
we are focused on natural
Yeah.
resources,
Sure.
we'll have a
Yeah.
game plan.
Sounds good.
All right, and kind of, unless anyone else has anything else to add on that, we can move on to town operations. The one question I had on town operations is, one of the measurables is a satisfaction survey.
What page you on?
This is page 127. Is that like how often does that happen? Has it ever happened?
I was just, I was just elected when this was being finalized.
Mhm.
So it was all the work was put in before I came in, back in 2019. It was, so parts of it were readapted, and updated. So I don't know what they were getting at with the satisfaction survey.
Sort of what we just did, without saying whether you're satisfied or not.
I mean, yeah, I think that's part of it. I
You
mean,
asked
that
them,
survey.
you asked
To an
them.
extent, right, it's like, what are your
Yeah,
priorities,
Yeah.
what would you like to see? We made them more localized, like what would you like to see? from
right, that's
CAP?
more particular.
Right,
I mean, in the county housing study. Ken and Dave, if people who were surveyed on where, if they were to move somewhere in the county, where would they go? Where would they like to live?
Mhm.
Canandaigua was the overwhelming highest of people who would like to be able to be here. I mean, that's not really a satisfaction survey, but that
Right.
shows either satisfaction or desire to come here.
The county has a lot of information on it in that study.
The housing study has a lot of for the housing part of things.
Okay, who's gonna get that? Get the housing study?
What's that?
I was wondering who's gonna get the housing study. I had it.
I'm sure it's on the website.
It's on the county website.
Okay, I can handle that.
Yeah,
You spell all the words.
read it when you're willing to take a nap at times.
Well, I got that kind of brain.
That and the landfill report, they're both pretty riveting. Sorry, uh-oh.
But
It's what it is.
kind of again with going for the lowest hanging fruit, we could kind of, I know it's always talked about at town board meetings, when they go over like the bills and the budget and whatnot. But how much money is in reserve in case of an emergency or for specific things? That could be a very simple thing. We could just say, the town is prepared for XYZ.
That would be an easy report out. I mean, that money, all those numbers are fully accessible. And I have easy access to them too. But I think it'd be interesting, maybe interesting for people to know what our fund balance is, what our reserve funds are.
Right.
That we try to continually invest the money that we have per New York State law. What we're allowed to do with it to try to continually keep it moving and working.
Question. When you think
They say, time it's, 5 to 8 years, it's that 5 year.
So we're almost-
Now they're saying pushing it off 10 years. I was somewhere and they were talking about it. And they're like, if you're waiting to do it every 10 years, you're waiting too long.
Yeah, there was a training just recently on comp plans.
Yeah, I like 10 years and it's too long. So this, we'll do updates. There was a minor update done to this. But really,
Just curious.
but it really, it's that 5 year, kind of that 5 year window to look at it, and
We're kind of coming up.
we are. And maybe that's something too, is looking at redoing that, because again, the comp plan. Not all comp plans are that dense as ours was. And I think that too makes it a little bit intimidating, and also intimidating to look at. You could redo a comp plan and a comprehensive plan, and you could really you could really thin it out and just have the key information and key indicators and make it a lot more attainable.
I think the real meat and potatoes are these end sections.
Yeah, I mean, if you just redid those end sections and made goals and measurables for those goals. I don't think the 5 year window would be too daunting. But when you have pages of narrative and social
I don't think a
stuff,
lot of that stuff would necessarily update.
no, and this stuff, I think, would be the key.
I gotta say, I don't believe the narratives.
No, I know.
I tried.
I just go back to the meat and potatoes.
Right. Narratives are so outdated some of them are outdated within a year.
I mean, it does say even in here as one of the action steps is to renew the comprehensive plan every 5 to 10 years. Has the town ever done an independent audit?
Yeah, we do. We have to do one every year.
Okay.
We audit, we do an independent financial audit every year, and we do a justice court audit every year.
I think that could also be something maybe.
We could report out on that. That's another thing that it's done and it's accepted, but people don't look at it because it's a lot of numbers, but if you just pull out the key, review it and talk about it and be like, okay, how can we highlight this? What good things does it say?
Right.
Or what areas does it say that we can improve?
Mhm.
Because they always have areas of, okay, here's some practices that you can improve on and make yourselves more secure.
It's kind of like making an infographic from, pulling out like the fun little bits of data.
Right.
Yeah,
Because nobody's gonna want to read pages.
Exactly. But again, just thinking of kind of easier things for us, that'd just be kind of sharing that information that people might be interested in learning about.
yeah, this one is probably one of the easier ones to do. To get, if to look at some of these operationals. Because again, the interest income, the bond rating, we just got that because of the North Road bond that we had to go get to rebuild that road. The tax rate is updated every single year. Tax cap compliance is filed every year. So these are things that could be an annual, here's a financial thermometer, or here's an operational thermometer for an update.
Especially if you could like take and change that into like common person language as opposed to.
Right. Exactly. Like people would like. Got an email the other day, and these talking about the interest income, got an email the other day from a company that we work with. Who said, if you shift this money from this account, because it's an operational account, it's a savings account. But if you move it into this other one that there's another one that we can use that earns similar interest. And not a CD and not locked up, if they're paying 4.2% interest, some of these accounts. Then within a year, that's $158,000 of extra revenue that you're bringing in from that. So, and we've done that same, we have CDs invested for 2 years. Earning us $100,000 a year interest. You know, so then those mature and that helps pay, offset some of the projects and some of the other things that need to get done. But that would be an easy one.
Things like earmarked for something or just,
The CDs, it's, the company we use looks at our finances and it's like within the last 5 years, you have never dropped below this balance. So anything below this, you can invest long-term. So it's fund balance, it's open space fund, it's, so yeah, that, to the answer your question, yeah, it is those, it's parts of those specific accounts that we have socked away, because we can't just have a slush fund.
Yeah.
But it's socked away into the different reserves. But then it's conglomerated up into one.
is that's kind of exciting information
Yeah.
to share.
Mhm. Yeah.
People would love to see that.
Yeah, they'd love to see it and have that there, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's easy. Cause it's, the numbers are right there in front of you and you just need to pull it out.
Great. So I think that is a pretty good game plan. to build, 'cause anyone else have anything they want to add, questions, concerns?
Who does kick off the update for the town plan?
That word is not important.
Mhm. Yeah. Just planting that seed. Just planting that seed. I got you. I see what you're doing.
Yeah, the only other thing was the town engagement thing, that was that's a kind of an overreaching thing, and I think, you know, as we go through and do this kind of stuff, we'll kind of hit that and,
Right, just kind of like the sharing of information
yeah,
helps kind of,
to engage people.
right,
Yeah, and I think as we go along and get towards some of the other things that we can figure out. Some ways that we can do some stuff along that too, but I just don't, I want it to be kind of. An overreaching kind of thing that people are thinking about.
Right.
Because that was a big thing. Was to engage.
Mhm. All right, well, before we wrap up, now that Sue is online, just wanted to kind of jump back to our first thing on the agenda, which was, Sue, I know a few people had responded to the request for like the social media campaign for the get to know your, you know, town representatives and town staff.
Yes.
Have any of those been posted yet, or is there a timeline for when we can kind of expect them?
Nope. So I've gotten just about all of the responses, and now I'm setting up interview times to do some videos, and then I'll edit them, which shouldn't really take that long. And I was thinking mid-March we would do like one a week.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Great. And you also kind of missed it, while we were talking about waiting for you to hop on. I floated the idea of maybe we could do something like that, but for CAP. So now that we're, you know, a fully fledged panel, we've been meeting frequently. I think it'd be a really nice thing if we could do maybe the next meeting when hopefully there are a few more bodies in the room. We could do maybe like a group photo or just a, you know, quick video like you are hoping to do, where we just kind of, again, establish ourselves, say, here's the email address, you know, this is when we meet, feel free to share your opinion, stop by, XYZ.
Yeah, I think that would be great. And then maybe some of the results, maybe the top, you know, one or two things from our survey to
Right.
include that in there. No, I think that'd be a great idea.
Awesome.
And
I
then
hope-
maybe what are, you know, a couple things that we've got on the hopper as far as what we're going to do, which kind of we talked about today, which is Jared rappelling off the, you know, the tower, you know, things like that, that they can look forward to.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
All right.
Just drug me and I won't know what's going on. I'll wake up a few hours later.
Just take your glasses off.
And
Come on,
Kim,
you, me and
yeah.
Falbo, we can do it.
and Kim, I'll be sure to like circulate something too for the newsletter with the results of the survey, just a little infographic or something like
Whenever
that.
you've got that done, just send it my way.
Perfect.
Um,
Awesome. All right. Well, with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Oh.
All right, so Kelly, Is there a second?
Oh,
All right, Nate seconds. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No, motion carried. All right, we are adjourned until. This is the next first Tuesday. April 1st.
Uh-oh, April
Oh,
Fools.
really?
Oh, might have to have some fun at that.
All right, so tentatively April 1st, if any, conflicts come up, let us know, and maybe with that. All right, thank you, everybody.